I've just, I remember going to his rallies in 2016. A lot of the things he said then, draining the swamp, Mexico paying for the border wall, eliminating the national debt, all these things he didn't do. And now he's running on a lot of the same promises he made back then. I think he owes it to come out and debate. I offered, since Sean Hannity is doing the debate between me and your governor here in California, I told Sean, let's do between me and Donald Trump on Hannity. I'm happy to do that. I think he should show up to the normal debates, but if not, we'll do it. But let's go. He's had a lot to say about me on social media over the last 9 months. Well, now we can get up there and we can make this case in person.
Meanwhile,
in California, and you can see that there are tons of people here to support President Trump. And then look, nobody is at the DeSantis. We're like always back down because Ron DeSantis doesn't have any support. We see that the Never Back Down PAC and DeSantis and his campaign tried to push for rule changes in California that would have stripped 50 to 60 delegates away from President Trump. But as always, President Trump has prevailed, especially after I broke the story and exposed the dirty tricks here in California. But it's just pathetic. It's pathetic. It's here. It's just like nobody wants to see it. There's like 2 people here who have signed up because people just don't support Ron DeSantis. He has no momentum. All these people are here to support President Trump. Embarrassing.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is running for president, right? He's running in the GOP race against Trump, and Ron DeSantis is really turning up the heat on Trump, okay? He's decided to take the gloves off and to try to attack Trump directly because he's desperate, right? He's desperate that the polls are not moving in his favor and that it seems like if the election was held today, that Ron DeSantis would get absolutely destroyed, okay? So he's getting desperate, right? He's getting real desperate. So desperate that, again, he's now out just attacking Trump, going after Trump, gloves off, begging Trump to debate him, okay? He's starting to sound like Chris Christie a little bit, right? In regards to some of his obsessions with Trump, okay? It's pretty fascinating stuff. But, hey, this is his political strategy, and we'll see if it works. Also, what Ron DeSantis is doing, which I think is a better political strategy than attacking Trump, is now doing more interviews with the mainstream liberal media. And there's one interview that he did that I want to talk about here that I think is pretty fascinating, which is between him and Bill Maher. Now, this is an interview where I think that Ron DeSantis shined. And this is why I said he should do more of these interviews, because this is what Ron DeSantis should have been doing from the beginning of his campaign instead of, hiding in his basement in Florida, right? Which is what he accuses Trump of doing, is hiding in his basement. But that's kind of what Ron DeSantis was doing instead of getting out there in the media and, clearing his name up from the attacks that were levied against him by the mainstream liberal media and others. But anyways, he went on Bill Maher's show. And at one point in the interview, Bill Maher had actually admitted that DeSantis was right when it came to his anti-lockdown COVID policies and him keeping Florida open during the pandemic. Again, this is a California liberal, Bill Maher, admitting that liberals, Democrats, were wrong and that Ron DeSantis was right. Take a look.
I think woke ideology has corrupted institutions. I think it's corrupted things like the CDC with how they handled COVID with the nonsense that they did. So it's a broader issue than just a philosophical fight.
You keep wanting to get back to that, and I don't blame you, because you're right. We're on the same page there. And I think it's unfair what they did to you, because you did handle it better. You did handle it better. You were right. You were like, let's target the people, protect the people who are most vulnerable, and everybody else can go on with their lives a little better. You open schools sooner. And a lot of the stuff that's come in, the information we have after now, we've had a few years to look at it, you were more right. And they won't give you credit for that.
Well, it's not about credit for me, though. It's not about credit for me. It's about them admitting that they were wrong, because they are setting us up. If this happened again, they would repeat the same playbook all over again. And if we don't have accountability, that's what's going to happen. So I'll bring accountability so it never happens in our country again.
I saw the New York Times did such a despicable hit piece on you that I saw, because I forget what the lead headline was, but it was basically Ron DeSantis fucked up the pandemic. And then, like, at the very end, it says Florida's death rate overall was better than the national average. Now, if you're going to do an article... If you're going to do an article about Florida and the pandemic, shouldn't that be the lead?
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be the? I mean, talk about
shouldn't it
burying
be that
the
we're
lead?
the #1 state for in-migration? I mean, if we did so bad, people would have been leaving Florida. People are coming, wealth's moving into the state. Our economy's done better than any other large state. And education, we're now ranked, I think, in the top 5 on most metrics in education now. That wasn't true when I was a kid growing up in Florida. So we did it right, but what we did is we understood you can't stop society because of one respiratory virus. That's not even the way to help health overall.
You could if it was bad enough, but not that one.
Right. They were wrong on the death rate. They were wrong on closures. They were wrong on everything. Okay. And yet we act like, what, we're just going to shrug our shoulders and move along?
So, like, that's the part of you I like.
Yeah, that's the part of Ron DeSantis I like too, right? I like that part of Ron too. And I just wish that part of Ron would have been doing what he's doing now, not in regards to his attacks against Trump. I don't think that they're going to work, but we'll see. This is what his advisors are telling him. I think him going on these liberal media platforms and pushing back against the narrative, I think is what he should have been doing from the get-go. Because here's the problem with Ron DeSantis, right? Ron DeSantis, he claims that he doesn't think that Trump is electable in the general, but if you believe the polls actually say that he's the person that actually is unelectable in the general. And I think part of the reason why is because he's allowed the mainstream liberal media to smear him without defending himself. Okay. Now, again, he'll defend himself in his bubble in Florida. Okay. When he's giving his press conferences, when he's talking to the local media. But when you're talking about the national news media, when you talk about the Joy Reids, the MSNBCs, we can see that they will allow you to come on the platform and to have that conversation with them. Look at what Vivek Ramaswamy did. Okay, he went on all the platforms, all the liberal media platforms, right? And they welcomed him on the platform, and they definitely debated him tough. Okay, and Ron DeSantis should have been doing that too, because I think that Ron DeSantis would have a very easy time clearing up some of the nonsense that the liberal media and the Democrats have smeared against him. Okay, you just heard what he said about COVID. I mean, even Bill Maher, who's a liberal, a California liberal, was like, you were right, right? You were right about COVID. You were right about the lockdowns. You were right about opening up schools. Okay, you were right about a lot of this stuff. Okay, and again, that tells you everything you need to know about DeSantis and the strength of his arguments, the strength of his policies in Florida. Again, he should have been saying this stuff to the liberal media. Okay, like, for example, when it comes to the book ban stuff. Okay, Ron DeSantis should have went on MSNBC. He should have went on NBC, should have went on ABC to have the discussion about the book bans and hold up the explicit books that are being allowed in schools and saying, yeah, we're banning these books right here. Right. And that would have created, again, a very awkward situation. OK, because you would have pornographic content on MSNBC, on NBC, ABC, CNN, the liberal media. And then Ron DeSantis, all he has to do is say, well, do you support this in school? Do you support pornographic content in school for kids? This is what you're supporting. You're complaining about us banning this that is being pushed in our school by Democrats. Do you support this stuff being in school? That's all he would have had to do. He would have destroyed. I mean, like, it would have been over, right? It would have been absolutely over. Again, I'm still mind boggled that no Republican has done that. I don't understand. But again, what's happening here with Ron DeSantis and his electability, I think that he's trailing Trump in the general election polls because he's been smeared by the mainstream liberal media as being, quote unquote, far right, because of the so-called book bans, because of, he's erasing African-American history or whatever. And he hasn't done a good job of defending himself on these platforms that are openly smearing him. The GOP hasn't really done a good job of defending Ron DeSantis as well either. But I'm just saying he should be the main one, like Vivek Ramaswamy, going on these mainstream liberal media platforms and pushing back against the narrative. And it's very easy for him to do because he has the facts on his side. He has the American people on his side, especially when it comes to this issue of gender, right? Gender ideology. He has the American people on his side, okay? He won when it came to COVID, okay? He has the facts on his side. Again, this should not be difficult, okay, for Ron, right? He should have done more of that. Now, another part of the interview that I like is when Ron DeSantis was confronted by Bill Maher on Ron DeSantis supporting so-called election deniers or campaigning for election deniers in the midterms. And Ron DeSantis essentially did exactly what I recommend any Republican or conservative do when confronted about so-called election denialism on the right, which is to turn it back around on the left and to call out the hypocrisy of the Democrats when it comes to this issue of denying election.
But you campaigned for election deniers in 2022. This I do not forgive.
Well,
to quote The Godfather. I mean, Carrie Lake, who said Biden is an illegitimate president, Trump didn't.
Well, now she's attacking me, so maybe I did make a mistake there, because she's out there saying, she's trying to say that we mandated vax in Florida when we did the opposite. We protected people even from private mandates. So that may have been.
But Trump lost the election, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why did you campaign for people who?
Because I wanted to see Republicans win key races. I think it's important.
That's not a deal breaker issue for you? That's not democracy?
Well, okay, well, let's go back to 2016. Your friends in Hollywood were cutting ads telling the Electoral College to vote against Trump in the Electoral College because it was stolen. They said Russia stole the election. For years they said that. So don't act like this is like a unique thing in modern history of the country.
First of all, Ron, I have no friends in Hollywood.
You do remember those commercials, though. I remember them.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. Now, throughout this interview, Ron DeSantis repeatedly earned applause from Bill Maher's liberal audience, okay? I think that if you actually sat people down, liberals down, and they listened to Ron DeSantis without, again, the mainstream liberal media being there to smear him, right, and to spin it, I think that Ron DeSantis definitely can win, right? He can definitely win in a debate when it comes to policies. And I think that he did a great job of calling out the hypocrisy of the left, especially when it comes to this issue of so-called election denialism, which was started by the Democrat Party. I mean, every election that the Democrats have lost at the presidential level, they question it, right? They questioned it. They contested it. They didn't accept the election results. They came up with all types of conspiracies for why they did not win, okay? And I love the fact that, again, Ron DeSantis turned it back around on Bill Maher and his party in regards to the fact that they support open election deniers, okay, which is the whole Democrat Party, right? They're all election deniers, okay? Hillary Clinton, election denier. Hakeem Jeffries, election denier. Adam Schiff, election denier. Jamie Ratkins, election denier. Okay, Maxine Waters, she's an election denier. All these people, they're all election deniers, right? But yet nobody is coming out here saying, well, since they denied the 2016 election results, you shouldn't support them. Okay? Now, nobody ever says that. Okay? Nobody ever says that. But again, Republicans are held to this super high standard of, well, you can't support anybody that denied the results of the 2020 election. When it's like, bro, we just dealt with 4 years of nothing but election denialism, questioning the legitimacy of President Trump. Right? Again, it's amazing how that works, how liberals don't even hold themselves to the same standard that they want to hold everybody else to, especially when it comes to this issue. And I think that Ron DeSantis did a great job of pointing that out. And honestly, Bill Maher didn't have a rebuttal, right? He didn't have a rebuttal. He wanted to try to play it off as a joke and to laugh because he knows in his mind, he knows that, yeah, this guy's right, right? My party is full of election deniers, okay? I'm total hypocrite, right? I'm a total hypocrite on this issue, okay? So like I said, man, I don't know why Ron DeSantis doesn't do more of these mainstream liberal media interviews, because I think that these interviews help him out, okay? I really do, especially when we're talking about his general election polls. It might not help him win a primary, to be quite honest with you. There might not be anything that he can do to actually beat Trump. But I think if I'm Ron DeSantis, I'm more concerned about his general election polling numbers than I am about the primary, because even if Ron DeSantis loses this time around, I mean, there's still 2028, right? He could still try to run if he doesn't destroy his credibility with the Trump base too bad. He can still try to run in 2028. And again, if I'm looking at his general election poll numbers, I'm concerned, right? So again, at this point, maybe, just maybe, Ron DeSantis should take, another page out of Gavin Newsom's playbook and just decide that, you know what, we're going to campaign for 2028. And we need to essentially do a better job of dispelling some of the attacks and the smears against Florida in the job that I've done as governor, in the mainstream liberal media. And that, again, might help him when it comes to the general election polls. But who knows? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.